dip. You're talking something a lot more catastrophic than that.
Well, I'm long commodities, I'm long currencies, and I'm short stocks. So we'll see what happens.
But from an economic point of view, you have been out there, particularly the last couple of weeks, banging the table about how bad things are and how precarious the situation is.
Yes, Charles, America's the largest debtor nation in the history of the world. And these clowns in Washington are running up the debts. They're not solving the problem. They're making the problem worse. We have a serious crisis facing us, and nobody seems to understand it.
All right, so what's it going to take to get our congressman?
Shivani, throughout history, unfortunately, countries have never dealt with this kind of problem until there's a crisis or a semi-crisis. And the way things are going, we're going to have a crisis.
Where is it going to be? Is it going to be in the United States, or is it going to be outside of here?
It'll be in the currency markets, but perhaps as early as this fall. You'll see a lot of currency turmoil, either in the dollar or the euro, who knows what. That's normally how these things start. And then the next thing you know, we're all sitting here on Fox saying, oh, my goodness, how'd this happen? Yeah, how did it happen? And I'll say, because those clowns in Washington keep spending our money.
Now, one of the reasons the market's getting hammered today, big divide over in Europe. Germany wants to sort of give bondholders some sort of a haircut, if you will. Jean-Claude Trichet is standing firm. Do you sort of side with Trichet more so than the way Ben Bernanke is handling this?
Oh, I'd rather Trichet were running the Federal Reserve than Ben Bernanke. Are you kidding? I'd rather nearly anybody run the Federal Reserve than Mr. Bernanke has been wrong about everything in the last 7 or 8 years. Come on, Charles.
But what about Trichet? I know you're not.
I'd rather have Trichet, but I'd rather, if I had any, I'd have Merkel. I'd want Merkel to sit there and say, okay, guys, you've got to take a haircut.
So bondholders should take a haircut.
Absolutely. Bondholders and they made the mistake, Charles. Why should innocent German taxpayers wake up one morning and say, oh, I've got a bill here to pay off some Greeks sitting on the beach drinking ouzo? That's just not right. That's not morally right, and it's not economically right.
But what happens with any sort of default happening in any major European country? How does that impact the dollar and then, in turn, commodities? While you're long on both positions, both of those, any sort of crisis going on there is going to impact really the world markets.
Of course it will. We're going to have problems. We're going to have there's going to be some pain. But we've had pain before, Shivani. People have been going bankrupt for a few thousand years. Hopefully, if that happens, I've got shorts. I'm short emerging markets. I'm short technology in the U.S. I'm short a big bank in the U.S. And I even shorted some bonds
But
today.
that's not. But it also will impact the dollar and commodities.
Yes, I hope my shorts go down better than my longs. You know, that's why you're hedged. You know, in the ideal world, my longs would go up, my shorts would go down.
Yeah.
What will probably happen is my shorts will go up and my longs will go down.
Well, that's how it works. We've got the magic recipe here.
Jim, you mentioned something I find interesting, the idea of pain. And I think one of the problems, at least in America, is that we don't want to take any pain. And politicians who promise us the least amount of pain are the ones we keep voting back in office. Does this make what you see out there inevitable?
That's the problem, Charles. You hit the nail right on the head. Nobody wants to take pain, even when it's staring you in the face. We have made a lot of mistakes. We've got to deal with those mistakes. And saying we don't have a problem, we can push it in the future, is going to make the problem that much worse when we have to deal with it.
All right, you know, Jim, stay right there. Stay right there. We're just going to take a break.
We're going to take a quick break. After the break, we're going to have more with Jim Rogers, plus one stock you need to watch as we head into the...
We're back now with noted investor Jim Rogers, chairman and CEO of Rogers Holdings and author of A Gift to My Children. Speaking of your book, what can regular people do? Because, Jim, listen, you know, you're short this, you're short that, you live in Singapore. A lot of people watching this show don't have the ability to do those things, but they want to protect their kids, too.
Well, you should invest in only what you know, Charles. You shouldn't listen to me on TV, or not even you on TV or Shivani. You should only invest in things you know about. Otherwise, keep your money in cash and wait till you find some. The reason so many people lose money is because they keep jumping around, investing in things they don't have a clue what they're doing. So what normal people should do is just wait.
Wait this whole thing out.
Wait until you see money lying in the corner, and then you go over and pick it up. Yes, you wait until there are good opportunities and take advantage of it.
But there are so many opportunities out there. I mean, timing is one thing, but then being able to sense what's happening, what is an opportunity. Take, for example, the banks. Everybody says and talks about the financials. Until the financials don't turn around, we can't have recovery in the markets. Nothing has really changed about the banks since 2008.
Well, Shivani, there are plenty. I'm short a bank, as I said. There are plenty of opportunities
Which
besides
bank
banks.
are you short on?
I'm not going to tell you. I have too many friends there. It's a big one. Let's leave it at that. It's a
Okay.
big one. But
But what's
listen, there's some
making-
great opportunities. Cotton is going through the roof. Corn is making all-time highs as we speak. If you were a corn farmer, you'd be saying, my goodness, things are great. There are plenty of opportunities out there right now. Invest with farmers. Invest in agriculture. I think agriculture is going to be one of the great industries of our time.
If you had to pick one commodity to invest in for the next 10 years, what would you pick?
Agriculture.
Specifically within agriculture.
Oh, I don't know. I'm a horrible market timer. You should ask Charles. He's a good market timer. He's a
You
good
know a
trader.
little something about it.
Not much, not much. I would say maybe rice. But don't do it. You'll probably lose
You're
money.
right, right.
I'm a terrible market timer. But probably rice would be. You'd probably make a lot of money in rice. Maybe sugar. Sugar, you might make a huge amount of money in sugar.
You've been big on sugar for at least a decade. I mean, listen, I learned a lot from you. Jim and I did so many shows on the news channel together.
It was fun.
What do you think then, Jim, that we just have to go through this meltdown? It's unavoidable. You're short a big-time bank. And how will we come out of it? How will this nation be able to come out of something like that?
When we accept reality, when we stop spending money we don't have, when we go down to a lower level and we start over, Charles. That's how history's worked for thousands. In the early 90s, Scandinavia got into terrible problems. A lot of people went bankrupt. They had a horrible 3 years of pain, horrible pain. Then they've had 15 years of great
Should
growth.
we accept the fact that we won't be the preeminent nation in this world for much longer?
We're the largest debtor nation in the history of the world, Charles. The largest debtor nation in the history of the world. Somebody's got to wake up to the fact that we're no longer what we used to be. The largest creditors now are China, Korea, Japan, Taiwan.